And we are live. Professor Desiraju, welcome back to the podcast. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
So happy to be on the podcast, Abhijit, once again.
Thank you, sir. So, first of all, before we even begin, one thing I was not really aware of is that you are a classically trained Carnatic singer. Could you please speak a little bit about that first?
Long ago. It's in a previous avatar. Yes, I did learn music in my college days and also in my university days in University of Illinois. I was
I
very
see.
lucky to get a teacher there who came from the classical Carnatic tradition, a lady by the name of Raganaiki Iyengar, who was an associate professor in that university and
Mhm.
who had trained from giants in Carnatic music. So I learned properly, and I would say I acquired a proficiency of some sort
I see.
before I decided to give it up completely because I think you know me as a scientist, and the chemistry drew me too much
Yes.
into this grasp. And as a result, yes, but I think I'm more than knowledgeable about it because I can actually, people say if I were to take up and start singing again, I might not make a bad show of it, but
I see.
it's another life, previous life. So it's all right, but I know enough about it. Enough to know something about the background of this present interesting development in. And also, this Madras Music Academy is a place where I have
Mhm.
been, my wife and myself have been listening to concerts there for at least 50 years, and in her case, a little longer. Uh, we've been actually members of this place for at least 35 years. So we know this place well, and we know the very high quality of music that is been played or sung or whatever it is in this music academy.
Right. So there's a controversy that is going on right now. It is increasing by the day as we speak. So the Madras Music Academy is at the epicenter of this storm, and they have apparently given the Sangeeta Kalanidhi Award this year to Mr. TM Krishna, and as a consequence of that, lots of people have protested and pulled out of the event. So could you please give a gist of what is going on?
See, this music academy has acquired a very high reputation
Hmm?
for maintaining dignified standards of Carnatic music over
Okay,
100 years. I think it was started in 1928 or something like that.
I see. Almost 100 years.
Almost 100 years, yes.
Hmm.
And among other things, every year they select somebody to be what is called Sangeeta Kalanidhi,
Hmm.
literally repository of this kala called Sangeeta.
Okay,
And musicians and have generally given a high regard to this award. So the award itself has acquired a lot of prestige.
okay.
And like all other awards, there has been politics in this, and
Hmm.
people who know the stuff will immediately recollect some prominent musicians who were very good who never got the award,
I see.
and some others who refused to accept the award. This is also there. But
Okay.
by and large, I would say that, Abhijit, look, any kind of classical art form, whether it be music, dance, it is of necessity elitist.
Yes.
Otherwise, it won't be classical.
Right. Indeed.
And so there is a element of elitism in the way in which the music is practiced, sung, played, and even the people who listen to this music who are called rasikas. So
Rasikas.
they do have a certain knowledge level.
Mhm.
And this is true of Hindustani music, Carnatic music. It is not, everybody cannot listen to it, or maybe I would say more accurately, that everybody doesn't attempt to listen to it. Because I,
Yes.
for one, having listened to Carnatic music for 50 years, will say that anyone who opens their ears widely enough will be able to enjoy it immediately.
I see.
It's not difficult to enjoy. Okay,
Mhm.
so it is not so difficult to sort of even figure out what is going on. You can enjoy it, but many people don't, and it is a kind of elitist thing.
Okay.
Now, the particular award this year is the individual who has been given this award has been at the center of several controversies, if I may say so.
Okay.
And he is a person who, at least in my opinion, is technically trained very well.
I see.
And so, in terms of the technical aspects of the music, and he has got a powerful, attractive voice.
Okay.
And so, when one listens, one is there is a certain immediate, appreciation for this kind of a thing. But he has many critics
Hmm.
who say that he knows the craft of music without knowing the art.
I see.
And if you look at again our Shastriya Sangeet, whether it be Carnatic or Hindustani,
Hmm.
there are three broad elements in this.
Okay.
The first, of course, is Raga,
Yeah.
which is based on the seven notes Saptaswara.
Yes.
And then there is Tala, which is the time measure,
Yes.
okay, which sort of keeps an order. In fact, uh, Raga is Shruti. So one of the sayings is that Shruti Mata Laya Pita.
I see.
So what all the affection and love that the mother gives, that the father, who is a stern man, comes in and puts a discipline. So the Tala puts a
Yes.
discipline on the Raga. And
Okay.
then there is the third uh, undefinable thing, which is called bhava.
Bhava. Yes.
Bhava. So this everybody
Yes.
knows the meaning. So it is the emotion.
Yes.
So when Tyagaraja says in one of his kritis, Rama Bhakti Samrajyam.
Hmm.
So you don't need to know Telugu to understand this.
No. No.
Anybody who understands any Indian language will know the meaning of that phrase, Rama
Yes.
Bhakti Samrajyam.
Hmm.
So here you have a gentleman who, in his own words, says that after a concert or something, somebody has come and told him, Sir, when you were singing this particular song on Lord Krishna, I felt that Krishna himself was standing in front of me.
Right.
To which this gentleman's reply is, or I will paraphrase, I have sung this song many times, but I have never seen Lord Krishna.
I see. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
So you can see the gentleman also is an interesting career. If you look at his career graph,
Hmm.
he is born into a very influential family, and one of his ancestors was one of the founders of this Madras Music Academy.
Okay.
Right. So he has had access to the topmost musicians of Carnatic music practically from a very young age.
I see.
So on the face of it, one would look that there is a, and he was obviously very interested in music and he's very talented. No questions about all that. So one
Okay.
could see that you have a tailor-made career made for him.
Hmm.
And some 10 years or something, he is picked to receive this Magsaysay Award.
Okay. Magsaysay Award.
And this Magsaysay Award, as you know, has got so many connotations.
Yes.
And one of the people who got this award was arrested last night.
Indeed.
And I would also like to mention that there is more than a casual connection between this arrest last night and the happenings in the Music Academy. Which is
Okay.
why I'm saying that this is not so much got to do with music, but with highly political matters.
Okay.
And it is a matter of interest for people all over India. This
Okay.
is not something to do with some, old people sitting and listening to some classical ragas and saying exactly did he take that phrase correctly or not. No, it's not like that.
Uh-huh.
See, this career of his, which was moving along in a smooth way, with full of official patronage of the top places, it's like an academic who gets a job, assistant professor in IIT Kanpur or IIT Bombay or something like that. So obviously he is designated for some kind of future greatness. simply
Okay.
by entry as an assistant professor in these places, it
Right.
is clear that the peer group or the system, whatever you want to call it, has identified him for future greatness.
Yes.
So he is moving along nice. Now he gets his Magsaysay award.
Hmm.
Then suddenly he starts changing his tune. Well,
Okay.
not his musical tune, I would say, but his political tune.
Mm-hmm.
And he started saying that Carnatic music has got nothing to do with religion.
I see.
He said the words of these songs written by all these famous composers have got they're meaningless practically for him.
Okay.
Like his comment that he doesn't see Lord Krishna over there. And
That's
then
something.
he says that you can take a raga and just sing it without reference to any particular religious aspect.
Okay.
And then he starts saying that he is going to start taking songs, say on Lord Ramachandra or something, and
Hmm.
replace Sri Ram with Prabhu Jesus.
Oh. Okay.
The same tune, same song, but Prabhu Jesus instead of Sri Ram.
I see.
Then he says all he has given some performances in churches. He has not yet dared to give a performance in a mosque. I think
Okay.
that's not possible because if you look at the Islamic strictures,
Uh-huh.
they are very, very clear about this. Music, Abhijit, is not culture neutral.
Yes.
The Muslims actually forbid musical instruments as a religious stricture.
Yes. That's
On the
right.
other hand, Sanatana exalts it to a form of worship.
Hmm.
Now, let me give you an example. Forget all these composers and what they wrote about Lord Rama or, Lord Krishna or something like that.
Hmm.
If you go to the very beginning of the way in which the universe itself was formed, there is something called a primordial nada.
Yes.
A nada is a source of all existence.
Right.
And for example, therefore, from nada you get sura or swar, sur. And the word asura also is then explained. Asura is somebody who is devoid of this element of sur
Okay.
and therefore devoid of the melody of Rita, the
Hmm.
universal order, out of which
Hmm.
flows dharma and other things.
Right.
So hence you get the origin of asura. And if you take this nada, the nada then results in what we call our saptaswara, sa ri ga ma pa da ni. Okay.
Yes. Hmm.
So this Sarigama Badani, you see, there are what we call Lord Shiva's five amnayas, five faces.
Hmm.
And these are respectively Sadyojat, Vamadev, Aghora, Tatpurusha, and Ishana.
Right.
Now, these five faces of Shiva,
Hmm.
Sadyojat leads to the musical note we call Gandhara, Ga.
Ga.
These five stand for the Panchabhutas. It stands for earth, Prithvi. And
Hmm.
it is represented by the percussion instruments, drum,
Drums.
tawil,
Okay.
tabla, pakawaj. Huh?
Yes.
So these are the things that come from Satyojat. Then let us go to Vamadeva.
Hmm.
This leads to the origin of the note we call Dhaivata or Dha.
Da.
Sarigama Badani, the Dha, it comes there.
Da. Yes.
Dha. And this is associated with water.
Water.
Okay,
Okay.
Jala. And then all the stringed instruments come under this category.
Okay.
Violin and stuff like that.
Veena. Yeah.
Veena comes, Veena is different, except
Okay.
Veena. Sarod.
Except Veena. Okay.
Eh. Then we come to Aghora.
Okay.
Aghora gives rise to Rishab and Shajja. Rishabam, Risa.
Risa.
Sa, Ri, Gama, Pada, Sa and Ri come from Aghora.
Okay.
And then here, this is associated with Agni or fire. We visited the temple in Tiruvannamalai together, if you remember.
Yes. Yes.
And yes, so this is the fire element comes under Aghora.
Hmm.
And we have here, then let us moving to Tatpurusha, the Panchama,
Panchama.
Pa, represented by wind, and therefore by wind instruments like flute and all that.
Yes.
Yeah. Masuri. And finally, Ishana is the Nishada and Madhyama, Ni and Ma,
Okay.
which is Akasha, the highest of the lot, and there we have Veena. Veena is the musical instrument of Devi herself
Yes.
and
Yes.
Saraswati. So Veena
Yes.
is really placed right at the top. So you see, from the very Nada itself, our classical music has got a, is not got a religious component, it is religion itself.
It is religion itself.
It is religion itself. So the
Hmm.
practicing or singing of Shastriya Sangeet is a means of reaching God in the most direct way.
Okay.
And in fact, it's not an accessory. This is, the nine rasas. Navarasa also comes in through all these things.
Hmm.
And again, I quote a kriti of Tyagaraja.
Okay.
But once again, anybody from anywhere in India can understand this because the song is in Sanskrit. It describes Lord Shiva, and then he says, Nada Tanu Manisham. That is, you are the embodiment of Nada.
Yes.
And later on in the song, he says, Sadyo Jatadi Panchavatraja Sarigama Padani Vara Saptaswara.
Hmm.
Sadyojatadi. That means Sadyojat and all the others, Adi.
Hmm.
Panchavaktrasta. Sarigama Padani Vara Sapta Swara. So
Hmm.
he says Shiva is really the embodiment of all this. So let's not get into composers and recent songs and what they are talking and all that. So the very
Hmm.
essence, the origin of thing is in religion. Now
Right.
here comes along this guy who says that Carnatic music has nothing to do with thing. It can be anything, anybody. And if it were so, one could ask if it is only some question of some notes which have some frequency
Hmm.
of so many cycles per second,
Yes.
then why is it that something like if you take Bhim Palas or if you take Jaumpuri or if you
Yes.
take Todi or if you take Hindolam,
Yes.
Vrindavana Saranga or if you take Manji, why is it that these ragas appeared only in Bharatavarsha? Why did they not appear anywhere else?
Exactly. Yes.
Hmm. So that means it is only this special set of circumstances in this blessed land
Yes.
that allowed this form of kala to develop.
Yes.
A more precise example, because now I am a scientist, I will connect you to two ragas, one in the Carnatic system and one in the Hindustani system, which are
Okay.
very, very close to each other, practically the same.
Uh-huh.
In the Carnatic system, this raga is called Mohana,
Hmm.
and in the Hindustani system, it is called Bhupal.
Bhopali. Okay.
Bhupala. So
Yes.
these are pentatonic scales. Sa ri ga
Hmm.
pa da sa da pa ga ri sa. So if you take
Yes.
sarigama pa da ni and you remove the ma and the ni, you get sariga pa da sa da pa ga ri sa. So that is the
Right.
scale.
Hmm.
Now this pentatonic scale actually is the basis of a very simple system of music which is found in China and Japan.
Indeed. Yes.
It has moved actually, maybe it has moved from here, who knows? All these people coming and going, they took so much of stuff. As I've written the other day, they took gunpowder from us. So, like that, they have taken also this pentatonic scale. But you listen, I'll ask the listener of this podcast to go and listen to the pentatonic scales in Chinese and Japanese music.
Yes.
It sounds nothing like Mohana or Bhopala.
It does not.
No, no, it does not. Whereas if you hear Mohana, you will hear Bhopala. If you hear Bhopala, you will hear Mohana.
Yes.
So it is not the notes don't make the raga. There is the whole thing. There is some mysterious added component. And
Hmm.
that comes only from Sanatana thinking. It doesn't come from anywhere else. It
Hmm.
cannot. So, in the light of all this, when he says, this gentleman has also praised our famous E.V. Ramaswamy Nayakar.
I see. I see.
who has garlanded Lord Rama's statues with chappals.
Yes.
A great hero of our present DMK party, Dravidian parties.
Hmm.
And he has also aligned with the Aam Aadmi Party. Kejriwal has given him a chance to give a concert in Delhi when some other concert was cancelled because of who he is.
Okay.
He has also vowed to introduce one Allah and one Jesus song every month.
Every month.
Every month.
I see.
Two RSS workers were killed in Kerala, and he has made a comment saying he has no empathy with this deaths. But he
Okay.
has great empathy for Kasab's hanging.
I see.
He opposed Pranab Mukherjee's visit to the RSS.
I see.
He has said that December 6th, 1992 was the darkest day in his life.
Okay.
The Indian American Muslim Council promotes him.
Okay.
He is a
Okay.
great admirer of Gauri Lankesh.
Ah, okay. That lady. Hmm.
Recently, one Sri Shiva Vishnu temple in US cancelled his concert after protests from the listeners there.
Okay.
The more to the point, the Hindus for Human Rights. This is really interesting, Abhijit,
Hindus
of
for human
which he is on
rights.
the advisory board.
Okay.
Hindus for Human Rights. I want you to listen to this title of this organization very carefully. It is a US based organization.
US based. I see.
US based. The members Reverend Abhijanamanchi.
Reverend.
Reverend Abhi
Okay.
Janamanchi. He's in the
That's a
USA.
very Hindu thing.
He's very Hindu. He's a
Yes.
pastor in some evangelical church or something.
Okay.
Then our famous Apurvanand of Delhi University,
Okay.
well known to the social media people in India. Father Anand Matthew,
Father.
Hindu.
Okay.
Father Anand Matthew. Then another name which is well known to us in India, Anand Teltumbe.
Okay.
You know all these things that he has been done. There is a guy called Anantanand Ram Bachchan. Then there is one Balamurli Natarajan, USA,
Hmm.
who has written a lot of articles on caste, critical race theory, and all that.
Ah, okay. Hmm.
That kind of stuff. Then our famous fellows, Faisal Khan and Khalid Anis Ansari,
Okay.
Hindus.
Hindus.
KP Ramanunni, Linda Hess, an American.
I see.
Martin McQuan, another American.
Okay.
There's a person who just gives her name as Medha. She is an assistant professor in Delhi University.
I see.
Then our famous Rajmohan Gandhi.
Oh, the great man
Ah,
himself.
great
Hmm.
man, very great man. Then there
Yes.
is an even greater person, Swara Bhaskar.
Oh,
Ah,
okay.
Swara Bhaskar. She's also there. Sayeda Hamid, member of the Planning Commission between 2004 and 2014.
Oh, that time period. Okay.
Notice the dates.
Yes.
So you say a person is known by the company he keeps.
Oh,
The
yes.
last person in this advisory board is Mr. TM Krishna.
I see.
So my case rests here. Now, having said all this, Abhijit, there are certain aspects of this case. Now I
Hmm.
want to bring in the Kejriwal connection.
Okay.
Normally, the Music Academy announces the Sangeeta Kalanidhi for that particular year. And I know this because I'm a member of the place, so we get these notices and all that.
Okay.
Some routine email, some junk they will go on sending, no like. So
Okay.
around the earliest I've ever seen it happening is around June, July. And more appropriately, it comes around September, October.
I
September. Because they need to plan for this. This annual conference is in December.
okay.
So they probably try to figure out the program, which is quite a highlight of the Carnatic music scene in Chennai.
I see.
So around September, I would say they usually decide and say.
Okay.
My first question, I'm a scientist. Why has
Yes.
this announcement been made so early this year?
Indeed.
Middle of March, they have done it. It's never been done before.
Hmm.
Now, last year, when the festival was inaugurated in December,
Hmm.
It was inaugurated by Stalin,
By Stalin. Okay.
the fellow who says his son says break Sanatana Dharma and all that. So you
Okay.
can see it is now getting pointed towards breaking Sanatana Dharma.
Hmm.
Now, like Kejriwal, you see the obvious funding connections between some of these gangs and the American deep state, the
Hmm.
Congress Party, the Chinese Communist Party, the evangelicals, basically the whole tukde tukde. So, yesterday, Kani Mori has tweeted in favor of the academy and says that Periyar is great and all that. She has been saying that all the time. But she's now
Okay.
saying that in the connection with the award being given to TM Krishna.
I see.
So, the other very strange thing, very, very strange,
Hmm.
is that this gentleman has not sung in this music academy for nearly 10 years.
Okay.
And far more than that, he has actually been insulting and vilifying this academy, including its president,
Really?
who now speaks very warmly about him and says that he is being given the award because his music is a tool for social reform. Social
Social
reform.
reform.
Social reform.
Ah.
Yeah. So now you see the point is that it is, as I said earlier, a secularization of something that is actually sacred.
Hmm.
They are taking away something from Sanatanis, which is Sanatana Dharma. And
Yes.
you've seen my book on Bharat India, and so many other people have commented about all these things. If you
Hmm.
remove Sanatana Dharma, there is no Bharat anymore.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, there's nothing. Because the whole sum and substance of our existence is Sanatana Dharma.
Yes.
So now you can see the whole thing. Now, why did they start so early?
Yes.
अभी तो election आ रहा है ना.
Okay. Hmm.
Now, this election is coming.
Yes.
Prime Minister Modi ji has come repeatedly to Tamil Nadu, and it is
Yes.
clear that BJP is making a major effort to get a few seats from the south. Whether they get or not is another matter, but this is not a political that way. It's about not a debate or conversation about elections.
Hmm.
Today, Annamalai has tweeted in support of all the various Vidwans who have said they are not going to participate. This is the other thing. After having done this, very many senior people have said that they are not going to perform because one of them, whom I actually happen to like, the Trichur brothers, they have
Hmm.
said that if they now come and perform this year with this gentleman sitting there as president, they would be hypocrites.
Okay.
Yeah. So, people, we Indians, I would say, generally, normally we are rather good natured and accommodative. But when we are pushed beyond a point, I think Hindus do react.
Hmm. Yes.
What is very strange is that this is happening in a state which has been virulently anti Brahmin for 60 years, 100 years even, since the Justice
100 years.
Party came to power in the early 20s.
Uh-huh.
Virulently anti Brahmin. That
Hmm.
means deny Brahmins everything. No opportunity to study, no opportunity to work, nothing. Zero.
Hmm. Yes.
And here you have, and then this other thing about TM Krishna's arguments
Uh-huh.
are that this Carnatic music is an example of Brahminical patriarchy.
Wow. Really?
So he
Huh.
says Tyagaraja was a Brahmin, Muthuswami Dikshitar was a Brahmin, Shama Shastri was a Brahmin. These are our three revered musical trinity because their compositions are supposed to be superior in many ways. So
Okay.
no concert of Carnatic music will be complete without hearing plenty of compositions from these three.
I
There
see.
are others.
Hmm.
So he says that this is all a Brahmin thing. They prevent non-Brahmins from learning this, he says,
Okay.
which is also completely false.
Hmm.
Because if you take, I would probably say, the most well known Carnatic musician whose name is known all across India is not Brahmin born, and her name is M.S. Subbalakshmi.
Right. Yes.
So you see, and if you if you talk about composers, how many of the people know that the person whom we call Pitamaha of Carnatic music was a person of a merchant caste, Shetty,
Okay.
by the name of Purandardasa,
I see.
who composed on the banks of the Tungabhadra in Hampi when Vijayanagar was at its height.
I see. I see.
So Purandaradasa is the one who has originally sort of given a contour for what we call Carnatic music today.
Okay.
And in fact, his mandapam is still there in Hampi. It is one of the few things not destroyed, and where he
I
used
see.
to sit and compose.
Hmm.
And I will also mention I have talked about a Vaishya, and then I will talk about a Kshatriya who was a very famous composer,
Hmm.
full fledged Maharaja, no less.
Okay.
Maharaja Swati Turunal of Trivandrum,
I see.
who in his short life of 33 has composed such wonderful pieces that they are still sung.
I see.
Then there are Sudras,
Hmm.
people like Arunagiri Nathar and so many in the Tamil pantheon.
I see.
So it has got nothing to do with caste. Caste, as you know, is some British creation of the last 200 years.
I wish more people knew this.
See, this is the whole point.
Yeah.
This is the whole point. It's got nothing to do with caste. It's got nothing to do with Brahmins. And yet they make a sort of an anti-Brahmin narrative
Hmm.
of this whole thing. And once you start getting support, both these Magsaysay award winners, one is in jail
Uh,
in Delhi and one is roaming around in Madras now,
hmm.
not knowing what to do with this award that he has been given.
Hmm.
So the question is, I will ask political questions. Was this music academy, which till now has been a fairly sedate and decent place, were they forced by some political party to give the award to this person?
Okay.
I have sat in enough award committees in science
Hmm.
to know that sometimes there are very powerful interests that come and say that this is the person who has to be given the award this year.
Okay.
This has been happening in the Bhatnagar Prize, which very
I
nicely
see.
has been scrapped by our respected Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji last year.
Okay. Okay.
And the role of this Bhatnagar Prize in science is pretty much like the role of the Sangeeta Kalanidhi in Carnatic music.
Okay.
So it's given to a small number of people. Those who get that get everything after that. Those who don't get it get nothing after that.
I see. I see.
So as you see, you will find a few fellows who are given lot of things, and you will find many people who are frustrated and practically crazy.
Okay.
Now it would be okay if the award was given in a fair manner.
Yes.
I have always said, when people ask me, because as you know, I sit in some of these committees and all these things.
Hmm.
And I tell my committee members that we should give the award to a person so that when that name is announced, the people who are not successful will say or feel, no, this guy got it. I think he deserved it better than me.
Right. Yes.
I think if you can fulfill that criterion, then you can say that the award committee has done its job fairly.
Indeed. Yes.
But if you apply that criterion to this particular decision of the Madras Music Academy,
Hmm.
it fails miserably.
Hmm.
You can argue till you are hoarse, saying technically he is very good. But when you take all these things and you take Hindus for human rights and Kasab and you know his strong political views, yes, all of us are entitled to our political views.
Yeah. Sure.
Absolutely. Now, all of us also have our professional lives.
Yes.
If you start bringing these two in together,
Hmm.
then you get into very dangerous places.
Yes.
I mean, Hitler tried to do that with Aryan physics, no?
Yes. Yes. Hmm.
He drove all the Jewish physicists out of Germany, just like
Germany.
how the DMK has thrown out all Brahmin scientists out of Tamil Nadu.
Oh, I see.
This is another thing I would really want, and I think it has happened largely now. The common person in North India to know how much Brahmins have been persecuted by the DMK.
Hmm.
You see, when you pick up rather defenseless community,
Yes.
if the only sin that they probably committed was they got more jobs given by the British in clerical posts in the period 1858 to 1947.
Hmm.
If that is considered a sin, then one has to redefine sin.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there doesn't on the surface there doesn't seem to be much more of than that.
Hmm.
And so when you have this whole narrative built up today, they've used Carnatic music and a small thing, but it's a very important place to attack.
Hmm.
Because if you destroy Carnatic music, and I would say also Hindustani music,
Uh-huh.
probably Hindustani music, they're still looking for a useful idiot there to do
Yeah,
the
they're still
same.
looking, I'm sure.
They're still
Yes.
looking. I think they're looking. Maybe they found out that this is not working, and then Kejriwal is a bigger fry. He's doing it at a big political level. So why do they need a poor Hindustani musician to do it? They don't need.
Hmm.
So I would say that this whole thing has to be looked in the context of the upcoming election,
Hmm.
and all of us know that the country is in a churn.
Yes.
The old Congress way, Nehru way of doing things is now getting replaced by a new BJP, RSS way of looking at things.
Hmm.
This is a reality.
Yes.
There is no point saying RSS is bad or Nehru is good. See, there is no good and bad. The country has decided it wants the change.
Yes.
And when I say country, I mean 30, 40, 50% of the people, which is
Yeah.
quite substantial in a representative democracy like ours. You will never get 100% of the people agreeing.
Yes, right.
But where I think we have diverted now today, Abhijit, is that the opposition also is now going to any length.
Hmm.
And they, as I said, useful idiots. People like this
Hmm.
will talk all sorts of nonsense.
Yeah.
And they will get money from all sorts of people. And in turn, they will give this money also to all sorts of people. So the whole sort of a gravy train or the ecosystem of them giving money, taking money.
Hmm.
So suppose you get some money from Ford Foundation, and suppose you
Yes.
start giving it to some chotas, saying, "Come on, I'll help you in your career and all."
Yeah.
It's very easy. So there's nothing very extraordinary what I'm saying.
Hmm.
So the entire modus operandi seems to be there. What is regrettable is a place like the Music Academy, Madras,
Hmm. Hmm.
which has so far kept its nose clean out of all these sorts of matters. And in
I
fact,
see.
as I said, this guy was not talking to the Music Academy for 10 years. He has
I see.
badmouthed the same person who is the president, who is now saying that this guy is the greatest singer going.
I see. I see.
So it all doesn't add up somewhere, Abhijit.
Now, what's the deal with the music academy? Are they composed of musicians and high quality artists, or I mean, what is the composition like, and what's the
It's a very good. It's a very good
yeah?
question. In fact, I will mention a joke.
Uh-huh.
It sounds much better in Tamil, but I will say it in English.
Okay.
100, years ago, there was
Hmm.
a very famous Veena player
Hmm.
by the name of Veena Dhanammal.
Okay.
And Veena Dhanammal is also, incidentally, not born a Brahmin.
Okay.
She belongs to the Devadasi community.
I
And
see.
many people have said that she was practically Saraswati incarnate.
I see.
Okay, that was his opinion. So when she was told, I believe that the Music Academy was being started in 1928,
Uh-huh.
she wanted to know what they were going to do.
Okay.
So I believe they told her, ma'am, they're going to talk about music.
I see.
So then I believe she said, it sounds much better in Tamil, so I think I will say it in Tamil first.
Hmm.
Sangeetam பத்தி பேசுறாங்களா? That means, are they going to talk about music? No, I think you get the irony in what she said. It
Yeah.
sounds 1,000 times better in Tamil. But
Mm.
she said music is supposed to be practiced,
Yeah.
performed, and enjoyed and experienced. Where is the question of talking about music?
Yes.
And so when you say, are there experts? Yes, there are. There are people like musicologists.
Okay.
They'll start discussing some arcane topic.
Okay.
Take two minor ragas that have vanished and then start comparing them.
I see.
And then you have this performance part, the evening concerts, which supposedly draw in the audience and bring some small revenues. I
Uh-huh.
don't believe it's a very wealthy organization, frankly
Okay.
speaking.
Okay.
And it's just got a huge prestige and huge name associated
I
with it.
see. Okay.
So there are people, but I don't think the performing musicians, if you take top performing musicians of today,
Hmm.
I don't think they have much of a say in how that music academy conducts itself.
I see. Okay.
They don't. They don't. And in fact, I won't name the three families, but three relatively wealthy industrial families of Tamil Nadu have controlled this music academy for 100 years.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so it's up to the listeners to simply, it's very easy to find out the names of all our three well known companies.
Okay.
So, family members of this, and in fact, the present awardee belongs to one of these three families.
Oh, I see. It's like
Ah,
yeah, it's like
ah,
Rajiv Gandhi awarding the Bharat Ratna to himself.
correct.
Okay.
You
Okay.
got it. You got it.
Hmm.
So, and he's a person who probably felt so entitled that he felt he could even criticize the academy for 10 years and badmouth its president and all that. And yes, he's that way he has been successful.
Hmm.
They've said, come, we'll give you this award.
Hmm.
Of course, it suits the Tukde gang to the hilt. And
Hmm.
now that this election is coming up, and we don't know how scared they are of Annamalai, who
Hmm.
incidentally has tweeted this morning in support of all the musicians who have given up this award or decided not to perform this year. So it's a
Yes.
strong political statement, and it's got a lot to do with politics now, and
Hmm.
not much to do with
Music.
Tyagaraja or Muthuswami Dikshitar or Shama Sastri. No, it doesn't have much to do with all these people anymore.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't know exactly what to make of it, but I feel that I think this again disinterested observers and commentators, in fact, even common people like us who are into social media or observing things, we do fear a lot of pre poll and post poll violence this time
Oh, I see.
because it is pretty clear which way the result is going to go. And the opposition is now, it's in an existential phase now
Okay.
with all these regional parties not knowing where they are going,
Yeah.
all these people getting fed up with hereditary systems of succession.
Hmm. Yes.
And it seems that they have gotten into a lot of corruption simply because there is no other way in which they can make money. And the whole electoral bonds issue, they have fallen flat.
Hmm.
There is a person from the Andamans who has given the maximum donation here, most of it to the DMK party, some guy called Martin or something.
Okay.
He is a top donor in these electoral bonds.
I see.
So, what is this Martin doing, giving all this money? And it seems that the TMC and all these people have got a lot of money through these electoral bonds. So, electoral bonds has not worked out. Nothing that the opposition is doing seems to have worked.
Hmm.
So then this morning saw a podcast from, I think Sanjay Dikshit it was, or somebody who says that there is now a systematic agenda to derail the elections themselves.
Hmm.
So I
Okay.
view this TM Krishna episode as a kind of
Hmm.
chota bhai of this Kejriwal episode. The
Hmm.
same kind of issues, same sorts of things. Here Brahmin bashing, there something else.
Brahmin Dash. Uh-huh.
Brahmin bashing, because he's always played well in Tamil Nadu politics.
Hmm. Okay.
Today, with the rising appeal of Mr. Annamalai,
Yes.
it's anybody's guess which way these elections will go, and everyone says something different. But whatever it is, Finally, as I say, Abhijit, in many of my scientific problems also,
Yeah.
I start asking a question. Something doesn't fit.
Yes.
What you call in Latin non sequitur.
Non sequitur. Yes.
Yeah, non sequitur. The non sequitur here for me is why did they announce the Sangeeta Kalanidhi award this year so early?
So early. Yes.
This is the question I started with, and this is what I really feel. There has to be a reason.
Hmm.
Because this is something, the Music Academy in the bigger scheme of things is a very small place. There
Yes.
are some 100 musicians or something who are, and incidentally, it is not the only academy in Chennai.
I see.
If you go to Chennai in December, you find that every day you have a choice of maybe 50 concerts to go to. The Madras
Oh,
Music Festival in December itself. Let me tell you, this is something. It is a very huge thing. It is the biggest musical festival in the world,
I see.
bigger than
Wow.
the Wagner Festival in Bayreuth in
I
Germany.
see. I see.
Huh. And it is, you have, depending on which part of Chennai you live, you go to the nearest sabha, we call them.
Okay.
So, depending on where you live, you go and attend in those places.
Hmm.
And so, there are even people who like an artist or a singer or an instrumentalist so much that they will chase him or her from sabha to sabha during the season so that they can hear them many times.
I'm glad there is still this support for Carnatic music.
That is from the public. In fact, little
Hmm.
booklets are published, which
I
are
see.
usually given free of cost. So you
Okay.
can do like a ready reckoner that on which day, which time, who is singing, etc., etc. This is also
I
coming on
see.
computer now. It's coming now. You can even search in Excel sheet and all today. They have become quite high
I
tech
see.
about all this. So that
Okay.
if you suddenly want to say, I want to hear so and so, where is the nearest place to where I am, where I can go and listen to him or her, that program will tell you.
I see.
So all these things have started coming. So there is no, I mean, the Madras in December is quite something for people come from all over India and the world to listen to those in the season.
I see.
The Music Academy is by no means the only place where you can. In fact, there are several serious people who say that the people do not perform so good in the Music Academy.
Okay.
So it's a question of the mood is not there or something like that. They say they perform
I
somewhere
see.
elsewhere. So it's a question of individual thing. So it is some activity going on,
Hmm.
but entry of these political class, especially the DMK,
Hmm.
now in a big way into these, they're mucking around in these waters,
Hmm.
linking up Periyar and anti-Brahminism and Tukde Tukde and all kinds of things.
Hmm.
And I think that is why the issue of Mr. TM Krishna has got a different significance. In the end, he is not more to me than a useful idiot.
Hmm.
Serving the purpose of higher powers, whom we are not able to identify properly, but certainly something is afoot.
Yeah, you have clearly shown the linkages with the what Hindus for democracy or whatever the human rights.
That's a bad one, foreigners,
Yeah.
Muslims, Christians, what we will call mlechas. You know, you can even be mlecha in thought. You don't have to be a mlecha by birth. Sister Nivedita is a Sanatani for me.
Oh, indeed. Yes. Yeah.
Ah, the mother is a Sanatani for me.
Hmm.
It's got nothing to do with birth. I wish I could tell Mr. Krishna that it's got nothing to do with birth. What is Varna finally? Huh?
Hmm.
If you take Varna, the pure meaning, forget caste, which is a word introduced by the British. It was never existed.
Yes.
So this combination of Varna and Jati is what has held this country together.
Hmm.
It was our social mechanism to keep a widely diverse society together without people flinging themselves at each other's throats.
Hmm. Yes.
Every highly populated country has needed a social formulation
Yeah.
to keep the society going in a smooth way. To again
Yes.
optimize what? Artha, Kama, Dharma.
Yes.
To optimize those three, to get the Purushartha, you need a formula, a scheme.
Yes.
Varna Jati was our scheme.
Yes.
Nobody is prevented from doing anything. That
Hmm.
this is a thing to be understood.
Hmm.
And then many people have done many experiments in Carnatic music today to make it popular.
Okay.
Our large and vibrant NRA community in America mostly
Hmm.
have really done a lot to popularize this thing there.
Okay.
Many children of NRA parents have now come back to India, settled permanently, and become prominent singers in India.
I see.
Yes. I mean, let us take an example of this gentleman by the name of John Higgins.
Okay.
You might or might not have heard the name. John Higgins was I think, person interested in music, a musician, who I think he was teaching Western music in a place called Wesleyan University in Connecticut.
Okay.
He developed this fascination with Carnatic music
Hmm.
and came to India and became a student of a very serious and austere musician called Mrs. Brinda.
Okay.
Brinda herself being the granddaughter of this famous lady Veena Dhanammal, who cracked a nice joke about the Music Academy. So Brinda
Okay.
is considered to be one of the finest representations of the orthodox and austere Carnatic tradition.
I see.
Again, not born a Brahmin. So he
Hmm.
became Brinda's student
Okay.
and he started performing regularly.
Hmm.
Pure white American.
Okay.
And then he went back to Wesleyan University and he started teaching Carnatic music over there.
I see.
Tragically, he was killed in a road accident at some point in time, I think. His end
Okay. I
was
see.
unnatural from what I remember.
Hmm.
So, when I use the word mlecha, I use it with care.
Hmm.
John Higgins is not a mlecha for me. In
So
the
it's a
end, it is
cultural
what
thing. It's yeah.
culturally, it is what you do, how you act, how you behave, not how you are,
Yes.
where you are born.
Yes.
You know,
Hmm.
and I think these are things that people seem to have missed.
Hmm.
And so before you start running off and start saying, bash Brahmins or, Brahminical patriarchy
Hmm.
and things, you should even understand what do you mean by this? What exactly is going on? Can you please explain?
Hmm. Yes.
And why bring it? I think they brought it into the music academy thing because they suddenly feel that this is a point where the forward caste can be attacked. And we know most of these people, when they say Brahmin, they mean Hindu.
They mean Hindu. It's a
They
euphemism
mean
for
Hindu.
Hindu as
They
well.
don't, they don't technically mean strictly Brahmins.
It's a dog whistle.
Sanatanis. That is why
Yeah.
Mr. What is his name? Stalin's son. He says, I want to destroy Sanatana Dharma. It's
Hmm.
on the face of it an outrageous statement, but it's a clear statement of intention.
Hmm.
And today's award to TM Krishna is moving along in that DMK agenda.
Hmm.
Don't
So
forget
what
his
happened?
father came and opened the function last year in December.
I see.
Again,
Hmm.
that's a second non sequitur. Why did he come?
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
a more politically neutral person could have been found. A prominent musician could have been found.
Oh yes.
You know,
Yeah.
it is a sign of the times.
Hmm.
And when I feel that when two political, socio-political systems that are so much in contrast, one is giving way to the other now in India. The
Hmm.
old pseudo-secularist Nehruvian idea of India is giving way to the new dharmic civilizational idea of Bharat.
Yes.
So at a time like this, the interim period is going to be full of incidents of this type.
Hmm. Right.
Kejriwal, Manish Sisodia, TM Krishna, Music Academy, these are all part of the same phenomenon.
Hmm.
And the public is being jolted into a kind of a frenzy.
Hmm.
They're coming and telling us, you take sides, you take sides.
Mhm.
They're telling us democracy is in peril. Do they understand the meaning of the word democracy?
Democracy.
Democracy is in peril. I believe democracy in peril because Mr. Blue Shirt was arrested last night. No, if Mr. Blue Shirt being arrested is democracy in peril,
Hmm.
then they better explain to me what is democracy.
Indeed, yes.
Why should it be done so close to the election, says Shashi Tharoor? Why should it
Mhm.
not be done? As they like to go on telling the law will take its own course. The law is
Mhm.
taking its own course. It doesn't care where there's an election or not.
Yeah,
Or
this
are
is
you
the law
telling
taking its
me
course.
or are you telling me that the legal system is completely under the control of the executive?
Hmm.
You will have to ask the executive that they'll say all the time they'll be griping about this legal system, especially
They
after
do, yeah.
Keshav.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you say democracy is in peril, that means when my friend is in trouble, then democracy is in peril. That's why he
Yes.
said, no, when the RSS people are killed, I feel no empathy, he says.
There you go.
But
Selective.
when
Yeah.
Asab is hanged, he feels empathy. He
Hmm.
says
Yes.
India is not a humane country anymore.
Hmm.
So, whichever way you look at it, I can only see the overall in the overall political context.
Hmm.
And we are in a manthan, right
Yes.
now,
Hmm.
between the old system, this neo-colonialist system of Nehru,
Yes.
has now giving way to the new dharmic civilizational thing which was put forward by Savarkar, and we came to a culmination in Pran Pratishtha the other day.
Yes.
People of all political parties, so many people from the Samajwadi Party wanted to attend that thing, some of them even did attend.
I see.
People in the Congress party in Himachal did attend the function.
Okay.
So it means that these things, just like I said, nada and those seven notes, it crosses across the whole thing. It goes above composers and all.
Hmm.
And finally, we are Sanatana Dharma is by its very nature secular, which is why the founding fathers did not put the word secular in the preamble. It was considered obvious.
Yes, indeed.
So many people have said that India is secular because of Sanatana Dharma.
Right.
If there was any other religion here, we would not be secular.
Hmm.
It is impossible for a Sanatani not to be secular.
Right.
Impossible.
Hmm.
And you see, as a result of all these things, when you have people who are artificially dividing people,
Yes. Yes.
and then when you have some professional fellows who are doing some musical, why are they getting into all these muddy waters?
Absolutely. Yes.
I mean, this is what I really wanted to exchange some thoughts with you on the matter because I think it is important for people all over the country to be aware of a little bit at least that the Tukde Tukde gang and George Soros and will attack in the most unlikely of places.
Yes.
What is the Madras Music Academy and what is George Soros? But see, they've just like how they found that Tutukudi, no, they found that copper smelter.
Hmm.
And they attacked
Yes.
that and then made India into a net importer of copper from exporter.
Yes.
They will
Yes.
find the strangest places to attack us. There they attacked us through money.
Yes.
Here they're attacking us in a more basic way through our very culture.
Culture itself.
The enemy is very determined.
Hmm.
The US deep state is very, very determined. They are very angry with us because they do not understand us.
They don't understand us. Yes.
The Abrahamic people do not understand pagan religions.
Hmm.
At a higher level, when you go and you think about God and all, Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Parvati, they are all one and the same.
Hmm.
There is no, we don't see really any difference between all these things. So when this gentleman says, I will take a song of Rama and purposely put Allah and then sing it in a church, I will still ask him, how come you have not yet given a concert in a mosque?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Logical question.
Please do it. You please do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Otherwise, he has also said that till the end of his life he will be singing Kritis of Tyagaraja. If he is really serious about what he is saying, he should stop singing all these religious songs.
Yes, right.
Or he should completely go to Prabhu Jesus and sing only Prabhu Jesus songs.
Make it do it outright. Yes.
You walk your talk here.
Yeah, yeah.
Why do you do this halfway house?
Mm.
In fact, a very good article in Swarajya a few days ago.
Hmm.
Forget the name of the author. He said TM Krishna cannot ride two horses together anymore.
Okay.
He says that he has been successfully riding two horses. On the one hand, claiming that he's an extremely good Carnatic musician,
Hmm.
and then on the other hand, saying that Prabhu Jesus
Mm.
and Allah and all these things. So he has taken the advantage of both sides. And he says now, with the giving of this award to him, he
Mm.
cannot ride both these horses anymore. Now I think that the political element has come in and people like Annamalai are getting interested. I think
Yes.
events will certainly get very interesting now because it
Hmm.
is now going to a separate sphere, which I don't think these people anticipated. I don't
Hmm.
think they anticipated Kejriwal's arrest last night, frankly speaking.
Right. Yes. Hmm.
In the same way, I think, but this being a smaller matter than TM Krishna is a smaller person than Kejriwal. So
Hmm.
this is happening at a lower level, that's all.
Hmm.
But I can see basically the same phenomenon happening in both places.
I've seen this phenomenon in culture for quite some time. For example, Kamal Hassan, the actor, he
Oh,
himself
yes.
has been consistently making anti-Hindu comments and all that for quite some time.
Oh, yes. It's
Decades.
a good point which you make. And the other thing is that the DMK have certainly found many of the people, Abhijit, you will realize both in India and outside,
Hmm.
who are most critical about Sanatana Dharma
Hmm.
and Bharat, the idea of Bharat as a civilizational state, happen to be Brahmins. At least the names sound Brahmin.
Okay. That's interesting.
So it is Kamala Hassan is a Brahmin, TM
Hmm.
Krishna is a Brahmin.
Okay.
A number of these people are Brahmins.
I see.
So where the self-loathing comes, maybe it's Macaulayism,
Yes.
and maybe a person with a more common rustic background, say somebody like Annamalai, is mercifully free of all these complexes and bogies.
Yes, indeed.
He's able to see the thing very clearly.
Yes.
And you will find that it is not that, that lady Dwivedi from IIT Delhi, she's also a Brahmin. She was saying all sorts of crazy things in the G20,
Okay.
anti-India, to the
Uh-huh.
French France 24 news channel में वो था ना.
Okay.
So many of these people you can see with, I don't know whether they're clearly not practicing Brahmins, but the names sound Brahmin, as I said.
Hmm. Yes.
And at least I'm glad, just like this is the other thing. One must always look at the brighter side.
Hmm.
Like today in the public discourse, people don't mind using the word Muslim.
Hmm.
It's becoming more and
Yeah.
more common. This old days of people of one community went and
Yeah.
saw people of another community, all that's gone.
Yeah.
I think in the same way, people are not scared to use the word Brahmin anymore.
Okay.
People are definitely saying, I am a Brahmin and I'm proud of it.
Hmm.
So nobody can just get away with it saying that you people have suppressed all of us for 100,000 years and all that.
Hmm.
So this kind of narrative, I feel increasingly it will be difficult for them to push. Although they are giving
Yeah.
it the try of their lives because they have now realized that electorally they cannot beat Modi ji and the BJP.
They cannot. Yes. Yeah.
They cannot. I think whichever way, however conservative you are,
Yeah.
I do not see the BJP falling short of 272
Hmm.
in this coming election. So when they realize that they cannot handle the BJP and Modi ji electorally, they are trying non-electoral means.
Right.
The Congress for sure, the regional parties, Mamata
Hmm.
Banerjee and all her flirtations with the Rohingyas and the Bangladeshis. The
Hmm.
people who are willing to simply sell the interests of the country. And if Blue Shirt is actually what people say that he is, that an agent of the American deep state,
Hmm.
Because Dikshit makes a very good point, as I said earlier, that with the BJP winning 0-7 in Delhi, only a fool would want to arrest him today.
Hmm.
And yet they are doing it. And another non sequitur.
Yes.
Means unless the danger he posed was of a far higher level than 0 seats or 7 seats in Delhi,
Hmm.
or 14 seats in Punjab, whatever it is he's supposed to control.
Hmm.
So something much bigger than that has happened.
Hmm.
And if something bigger than all these things has happened, it must be from outside the country.
Right.
And we know that Blue Shirt also has been encouraged by Ford Foundation and all this since 1999 or something like that.
It is
This is
known.
not a new story.
Yeah.
In the same way, TM Krishna has been encouraged by these people for about 10-15 years now.
Hmm.
So the parallels are just too many.
Yes.
And people, therefore, should be aware, should be alert, should be thinking, and not running away with blind emotions.
Yes.
Saying, I like him. He put mohalla clinics. You know, people in India should think more.
Yeah.
They should not get carried away by emotions.
Indians are
Oh,
very
they
emotional
arrested him.
people.
They arrested him. They are so scared that they're going to lose the election that
Yeah.
they are locking up all the opposition in jail.
Hmm. Yes.
Please think about it, Abhijit.
Hmm.
It is very difficult in India to arrest a sitting chief minister.
Yeah.
But yet, within a month, they have arrested two sitting chief ministers.
Hmm.
And nobody has uttered as much as a squeak
Hmm.
after Hemant Soren was arrested.
Hmm.
Tomorrow, I suspect after 1 or 2 days of Gadbad, nobody will utter a squeak even when Blue Shirt is arrested.
Hmm.
So people should realize that there are many people in India who still love this country and put the integrity and unity of Bharat above all other things.
Yes.
Anybody may have political differences. Tomorrow, suppose this gentleman really feels that he has to propagate Carnatic music in a certain way in the fisherman's colony or something like that, he is well entitled to do all that.
Yeah.
But if by some circumstance he is allowing himself to be used by a political interest and political parties whose basic interest is against Bharat,
Hmm. Yes.
then it becomes a very serious matter.
Oh, yes. That is not acceptable.
This, I don't know whether the court or the people may decide this, but in the end, seeing the way things are going, the courts of law will decide.
Hmm.
Because most of these, the half enemy that we have, they need to be funded.
Yes.
And the Ministry of Cooperatives, headed by Amit Shah ji,
Hmm.
has done an admirable job in cutting the funding source to all these people.
Hmm. Hmm.
The typical American method of handling dissent. Cut
Yes.
off the money source.
Hmm.
Once you cut off the money source, then it is very easy to follow money trails after that.
Yes.
What has happened in the liquor scam.
Hmm.
So once the money and K Kavita and all those things. So once the trail is established, then it becomes very difficult for anybody to squirm out of it. That's why if the Madras Music Academy agrees to listen to the court or the people,
Hmm.
it may be a long-term wiser strategy for them than having to listen to the court of law later.
Hmm. Indeed.
I think these are serious times. They are grave times. It's a grave
Yes.
time for the whole world itself. It's not.
Actually. Yeah.
It is, isn't it? I mean,
It
every
is.
country is having serious economic problems,
Yes.
and we somehow seem to be half managing, half not managing. Something we are
Hmm.
doing, but
Yeah.
this is not a time to indulge in stuff like this. Common people of the country should also realize.
Yeah.
I will also, uh, you know, I'm so glad I've tweeted about this, and I'm finding to my satisfaction that about three-fourths of the likes and reposts I'm getting are coming from clearly people who are in the northern part of the country.
Okay.
So I'm glad that this music academy business has now People are now realizing it as a national issue, a national problem. It's not a musical problem of the music academy. No.
It's not a musical problem. It's not a local problem. It's a national problem.
Yes, it is a national
Yeah.
problem. And therefore, in that sense, it has to be viewed with due seriousness.
Yeah.
I'm not passing judgments as yet, but the circumstantial evidence against this particular person seems pretty bad.
Yes.
Seems pretty bad because if you are sitting in some place where the fellow committee member is Swara Bhaskar, then I will start
Yes.
questioning at a serious level.
Yeah.
It is unless you happen to belong to a certain kind of persuasion, you will not belong to some group like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Or
Yeah.
Apurvanand or any of these people. See, suppose you say that those are the other names, then if you join, that means you basically are somewhat in agreement with what they're saying.
Otherwise, you won't join. Indeed.
Otherwise, you won't join. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
You won't join. So then, what is going on then?
Mm.
Is he a Carnatic musician who is performing on the platform for the benefit of enthusiastic music lovers? Or is he a political activist following the agenda of some higher power?
Please make it clear.
Let the Music Academy make this clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even in their citation, they have said, I will quote again, they have said that it is a tool for social reform.
Oh,
It's there in
really?
the
Social
original
form.
citation. Tool for
Okay.
social reform. They are making no bones about it.
Mm.
It's clear that it's better that they state it openly also, so that everybody
Actually,
should
it
know
is.
what
Yes.
is. It's better. It's better. Actually. So
Yes.
that individuals can make up their own mind.
Yes.
I'm trying to just sift apart the facts as a scientist.
Yeah.
And I'll again want to leave listeners with this idea, why did they announce this so soon this year? Until you get a good answer to that. And the answer to that question will give the answer to the whole puzzle.
Indeed, sir. All right, sir. Thank you so much for explaining this with such detail and such clarity. I really appreciate that. A final question. I mean, I would not recommend TM Krishna to anybody, but who are your favorite Carnatic musicians that you would recommend to the audience?
Whom I would recommend to the audience? I don't want to bias anybody with my likes and dislikes, but there's a young man
Mhm.
who is singing very well, and his name is Abhishek Raghuram,
Okay.
and he belongs to a musical family.
Mhm.
His grandfather was the famous mridangist by the name of Palghat Raghu,
Okay.
who himself was a student of the legendary Palghat T.S. Mani Iyer, whose family have returned the Sangeeta Kalanidhi yesterday.
Ah. Okay.
And because TM Krishna had written a particularly nasty book where he cast scurrilous aspersions on Palghat T.S. Mani Iyer.
I see. Okay.
So he's actually would then be Palghat Raghu's grandson.
Mhm.
Another person whom I would, as a musician, is a person who is slightly older, perhaps touching 60,
Mhm.
by the name of Vijay Shiva.
Okay.
Vijay Shiva is somebody whose music I happen to enjoy
Mhm.
because I greatly enjoyed the music of Vijay Shiva's teacher, who is a gentleman by the name of D.K. Jairaman.
I see.
So these are the two whose music I enjoy myself,
Mhm.
and I would recommend that people listen to them, and they would get the essence of this bhava, raga, and tala
Yes.
when they listen to these two. Each person is a very personal thing,
Yes.
and who somebody likes is not who somebody else likes.
Of course.
It's very subjective, very personal,
Mhm.
and there are some younger people who are still coming up, but then, the other two whom I really enjoy. listening to are these two. Well, they're not very young and they're certainly not old. They're probably in their 40s.
Mhm.
These two brothers called the Trichur brothers,
The
who
Trichur
have
brothers, yes.
Trichur brothers who are in the news because they have said that they would be hypocritical if they came and sang this year. They were taught by their father,
Uh-huh.
and I believe they are from Kerala. They sing with a lot of verve and gusto,
Okay.
and quite enjoyable to listen to. So
Mhm.
each of these, I'm mentioning these three different names because the styles of singing are very different
Okay.
from each other.
Mhm.
And this is a last point, Abhijit, since you talk about this,
Yeah.
it's your particular question. What the English translation is a very poor thing, style, musical style.
Okay.
A much better word for listeners from North India is gharana.
Gharana, yes.
Gharana, and in Carnatic system, we call it as bani.
Bani. Okay.
Bani. So
Mhm.
Bani Gharana means the same thing. It is a sort of what you may call paddhati, a
Mhm.
certain style of singing,
Mhm.
which is transmitted from teacher to student to teacher to student like that.
Yes.
If you take a particular composition or take a particular raga,
Mhm.
if you are in that particular bani, you will sing it in certain ways. You will avoid certain phrases.
Mm.
It's very subtle but quite easy to appreciate.
Mhm.
Now, three gentlemen whom I mentioned, the Chur brothers, Vijay Shiva and Abhishek Raghuram,
Mhm.
they have distinctive banis.
I see.
They don't sound like each other. The style doesn't sound like each other. It's the same ragam will also sound different in these. The
Mm.
problem with again people like TM Krishna is that there is not much of a bani there.
I see.
His repertoire is huge.
Mhm.
What has happened is that these are all people, musicians, who have learnt music by listening to lots of cassette recordings
Uh-huh.
of other people, great people singing, and now this cassette recording has become this MP4 and this
Mm.
YouTube and all that.
Yes.
So they will listen to some song, some raga, something, they'll say it sounds nice, and so they learn it from that.
Mm.
But then they're learning from all sorts of things like Wikipedia or something,
Yes, yes, that sort of thing. Yeah.
as opposed to taking an old hard copy book and reading it from cover to cover
That's
and
the way to
making
do
your
it.
own decision what you want to absorb and what you don't want to absorb.
Yes.
So music again without bani is music without bhava.
Mm.
That's why I said technically it will sound perfect because their musical ear is so good that they can listen to any YouTube thing and they can reproduce it just like that.
Right, but no soul.
No soul.
Yeah.
Soul is not there. That inside that is not there. And
Yes.
so when you say that, yes, so when you hear an individual thing, oh, it sounds beautiful. It sounds like, beautiful voice and the rendition and the pronunciation of the words, everything will be perfect.
But it won't go in there. It won't touch your heart.
It doesn't touch.
Yes.
Whereas, when I was a teenager, when I was a student,
Mm.
when I started learning music myself, I was about 17
Mm.
years old when I started. You asked me about.
Mhm.
So at that time, when you used to listen to musicians and things, each and every person had his own body.
Mm.
No two sounded the same.
Right.
And that was what made the whole experience so very enjoyable.
Mm.
And in fact, when it is like that, Abhijit, let me tell you, the knowledge of the listener increases by leaps and bounds.
Yes.
What we call Rasika or somebody who is listening.
Yeah.
Rasika means what? You are getting the rasa of it and extracting the best out of it.
Yes.
The appreciation gets greatly enhanced when you
Mm.
listen to different banis.
Yes.
And this bani also, by the way, it is not just for the vocal tradition. It is also there in the way in which you play a percussion instrument. How you
Okay.
play a violin.
Hmm.
A person who bows very heavily
Hmm.
as compared to a person who bows not so heavily. All these
Okay.
sound different.
Hmm.
So today, when you hear people who have just learned everything from YouTube,
Hmm.
everything sounds like some average.
Yeah.
So without the whole life is full of average, then your life also will be average. See, I
Yes.
don't mind, I don't mind having a few lows because then I know I'll also have a few highs. No,
Yeah.
sometimes I now talk as a person who is listening to concerts for a long time.
Hmm.
Sometimes when the very great musicians of the past,
Hmm.
suddenly the voice will go off in the besur, or what we
Sometimes it
call it.
happens.
Abam
Yeah.
besur. Sometimes we call it apaswaram in
Hmm.
Carnatic.
Hmm.
So sometimes even the way the musician would recoil when the besur happens,
Yeah.
you realize that they too are humans.
Yeah.
Your liking for their music increases even more. Today, when you hear many of these people, almost you
Ah,
wish, Arey, let there be at least one apaswaram in this.
exactly. So technical.
You feel like that now. Today, you can
Yeah.
go and listen to 2.5, 3 hour concert. The whole thing will be perfect. But perfect
Hmm.
means what perfect? It is some
Yes. Right.
65%, 70% perfect.
Hmm.
So I'm afraid that this is part of life today. Analog has become digital.
Yes, it has. Yeah.
And then with that come all these problems. Since you asked me, whom would you recommend? Listen to Abhishek Raghuram, listen to Vijay Shiva, listen to Trichur Brothers.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much for the recommendations. And thank you so much once again for explaining this matter in such clarity, in such detail. Thank you so much, sir. With
Thank you
that,
indeed, Abhijit. It's once again a great pleasure to talk to you on your
absolutely.
podcast. You know I like it. And anyway, we found an opportunity. In the end,
Yes,
it doesn't matter what we talk about, so long as we are able to exchange ideas.
indeed, sir. Thank you so much. And looking forward to the next time.